According to the Satyarth Prakash, the true adornment of a child consists of knowledge, virtues, and disciplined character. Physical wealth, gold, silver, and precious gems, cannot decorate the soul. Instead, these materials foster bodily pride and worldly attachment, while introducing the specific risks of theft and premature death. To facilitate this development, the text dictates strict geographical parameters for schools. At 8 years of age, boys and girls are sent to their respective gurukuls. These facilities must be built a minimum of 1 yojana, or 4 kos, away from any village or city center. The separation extends to gendered distance. The boys in girls' schools must remain 2 kos apart from one another. Only male staff may inhabit the boys' school, and only female staff the girls' school. For students under 5, the law forbids any cross-gender viewing, touching, or conversation, ensuring the environment remains focused on study. Inside these walls, the text mandates a state of ascetic equality. Every student, whether the child of royalty or the impoverished, receives identical clothing, food, and seating. All correspondence with parents is severed to eliminate worldly anxiety and focus the student's mind entirely on their education. This environment functions as an intentional vacuum. By stripping away socio-economic identity and familial ties, the Gurukul seeks to recalibrate the student into a neutral physical instrument, prepared for the rigorous mental programming that follows. This transition requires a 2-part initiation sequence. The first sacred thread ceremony occurs at home. The second is performed upon entering the teacher's academy. The initial educational requirement is the mastery of the Gayatri Mantra. The father, mother, or teacher must instruct the student in the precise phonetics and the exhaustive amological meaning of every individual term. The text deconstructs the mantra into a specific matrix of definitions. Om is the primary name of God. Bor identifies God as the prana of life and the self-existent reality. Bhuva is the remover of all pains, and Swa is the all-pervading sustainer. The analysis continues with the attributes of the producer. Savitar is the producer of the universe. Devasya is the giver of all happiness. Varanium defines the entity as the most acceptable and pure, and Vargo describes the pure, conscious Brahma. The mantra concludes with a specific functional plea. Tat refers to that very form of God, and Dimahi is the command for the student to hold or imbibe it. The final phrase, Dio yo nah prachodayat, asks for God to direct the intellect away from evil paths and toward those that are righteous. The Satyarth Prakash does not frame this mantra as a mystical chant. Instead, it serves as a pedagogical mission statement, explicitly directing the student's developing intellect toward the pursuit of objective truth. To pursue that truth, the student undergoes daily physiological tuning through the Sandiopasana ritual. This begins with snana, or bathing, which is required before eating. The text relies on the laws of Manu to map this act. Water purifies the body, truthfulness purifies the mind, and knowledge purifies the intellect. This tuning extends to the nervous system through pranayama, described as a physical tool to destroy impurities and illuminate the student's capacity for knowledge. This schematic maps the 4 pneumatic functions of pranayama. The external pressure requires forcing the breath out and holding it. The internal pressure requires holding the breath in. Stampavriti involves holding the breath exactly where it is in the cycle, and Akshepi requires the student to actively oppose the natural flow of inhalation and exhalation. The routine includes 3 additional physical resets. Achamana involves sipping water to clear the throat. Marjana involves sprinkling water on sensory organs to remove lethargy. Finally, Agamarshana is the mental resolution to never commit a sin. These practices treat the human body as hardware. By purging biological interference and lethargy through physical and pneumatic control, the student is prepared for the intensive learning required by the curriculum. The Gurukul manages its physical environment through the Agnihotra, or fire ritual. It must be performed twice daily, at the exact moments of sunrise and sunset, paired with a minimum of 1 hour of meditation. The text provides exact dimensions for the fire altar. It must be a square pit, 12 to 16 fingers deep, measuring 3 to 4 fingers wide at the base and widening at the top. The fuel must consist as sandalwood, palash, or mango wood. Specific vessels are required for the operation: the prakshani for washing hands, the pranita for water, the ajestali for ghee, and the chamasa, or spoon.
These tools must be crafted of gold, silver, or wood. During the offering, the student chants the word swaha. The text defines this term as an act of mechanical integrity, speaking with the tongue exactly what is known in the soul, without any contradiction between thought and speech. The Satyarth Prakash defends this ritual through environmental logic. Fire breaks down foul matter into microscopic particles light enough to be carried by air. This process forcefully expels stagnant air from a structure and pulls in pure air, a mechanical capability that perfumes and incense lack. The required dosage for this purification is precisely measured. Each person must provide a minimum of 16 offerings, with each individual offering weighing exactly 6 mashas of ghee. Access to this education follows the Sushruta guidelines.
Brahmins, Kshatriyas, and Vaishyas are entitled to the sacred thread. A high-born Shudra who demonstrates the necessary qualities may study the scriptures, though they do so without the thread or the specific mantras. The Chandogya Upanishad defines 3 tiers of Brahmacharya, or celibate study. The lowest tier, Kanishta, lasts 24 years. The middle tier, Madhyama, lasts 44 years and is associated with the Rudras. The highest tier, Uttama, spans 48 years and is associated with the Adityas. These durations match the Sushruta stages of physical development. The growth phase occurs from ages 16 to 25, followed by youth, and finally completeness, which spans from 25 to 40. By these parameters, 48 years of study marks the optimal physical transition into marriage. The text establishes specific age equivalencies for women. 25 years of study for men equals 16 for women, 30 for men equals 17, 36 equals 18, 40 equals 20, 44 equals 22, and the maximum 48-year male commitment matches 24 years for a woman. Throughout this period, the student follows the behavioral framework of the Taittiriya Upanishad. They must practice ritam and satyam, right action and truthfulness. They must execute austerity, control the senses and the mind, serve guests, and protect their vital energy through the practice of prajanan. This is supported by the 5 yamas: nonviolence, truth, non-stealing, celibacy, and non-possessiveness, and the 5 niyamas: purity, contentment, austerity, self-study, and devotion. The text notes that practicing these secondary rules without the foundation of the yamas leads to failure. The list of prohibitions is exhaustive. The student must avoid meat, alcohol, perfumes, garlands, and sour foods. They are forbidden from injuring beings, unnecessarily touching their own genitals, using shoes or umbrellas, or engaging in dancing, singing, gambling, and gossiping. By subordinating every biological impulse and social behavior to these rules for up to 4 decades, the system seeks to produce an intellect stripped of sensory bias. Through this total discipline, the student is prepared to parse the rigorous logic required by the text. The ultimate output of this education is the ability to evaluate reality using 5 specific tests. A claim must conform to the nature of God, the laws of nature, the teachings of the wise, the purity of one's own soul, and the application of the 8 pramanas, or proofs. The first proof is pratyaksha, or perception. This is defined as direct contact between the senses, the mind, and the soul. To be valid, it must be of vyapadeshya, meaning the knowledge is derived from the object itself, independent of its linguistic label. It must also be non-erratic and definite. The second proof is anumana, or inference. This includes purvavat, inferring effect from cause, sheshavat, inferring cause from effect, and samanyatodrishta, which is inference based on general similarity in the absence of a direct causal link. The taxonomy further requires upamana, or comparison, shabda, the testimony of a truthful scholar, and aitihya, or historical evidence. The final 3 proofs are arthapati, or deduction by implication, sambhava, which tests if a claim aligns with natural law, and abhava, which is proof derived from the non-existence or absence of an object. Beyond logical proofs, the student must master the Vaiseshika ontological framework to achieve moksha, or salvation. This requires categorizing the universe into 6 padarthas: dravya, guna, karma, samanya, vishesha, and samavida. The first category, dravya,
consists of 9 foundational substances: earth, water, fire, air, ether, time, space, soul, and mind. Each has a defining attribute. Earth possesses odor, water has taste and fluidity, fire has form, air has touch, and ether is the medium for sound. The abstract substances are defined with precision. Time governs the concepts of fast and slow. Space governs directions based on the sun. The soul is identified by pleasure, pain, and knowledge. The mind is defined by its mechanical inability to grasp more than one object or idea at any single moment. The guna category lists 24 observable qualities, including taste, smell, magnitude, conjunction, disjunction, intellect, desire, effort, and sound. The third category, karma, defines the vectors of action: upward and downward movement, contraction, expansion, and locomotion. The remaining categories define relationships: samanya for generality, vishesha for particularity, and samavaya for inherent connections. These are supported by sadharmya and vaidharmya, the identification of similar and dissimilar properties. The system concludes with 5 types of non-existence, or abhava. These range from pragabhava, non-existence before creation, to samsargabhava, the absence of an association between two things. This entire system produces a binary output. Avidya, or ignorance, is defined as defective knowledge resulting from mental or sensory flaws. Vidya is true objective knowledge. The Satyarth Prakash issues a final mandate: only those books and teachings that pass this exhaustive, logical examination of evidence and substance should be taught. According to the text, the ultimate adornment of a student is not material wealth, but the installation of this analytical matrix, a mental machine built to parse the exact physics and metaphysics of reality.